Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Paden Squires. He is a CPA, founder of Squires Tax Planning, and we'll learn from him how entrepreneurs can avoid costly tax mistakes, simplify money decisions, and grow their wealth with peace of mind. Welcome to the show, Paden.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited to be here. Appreciate you having me on.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Paden. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe, a lot of entrepreneurs across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll learn from you about how entrepreneurs can reduce tax stress and also build lasting wealth. We'll talk about all this. But before that, let's talk a bit about you, your story, your background, so that the audience knows who they are listening to.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate that. Yeah, so I'm a longtime CPA. I grew up in a small town in central Missouri, which is right in the middle of the United States. Grew up single mom, kind of a chaotic childhood background. Growing up, we certainly didn't have a lot of money, or at least I thought we had less than other people. So through that, I got really interested in money and wanting to learn how to study money. And quite honestly, I never wanted to be poor. So I was afraid of being poor. So I really dove into learning to study money. Through that, I jumped in, through college, ultimately got my CPA, worked through college, got my master's degree, came out of college in about the 2008, 2009 time period. If you know anything about that, in the United States, massive recession going on. Everybody in the finance world was actually getting laid off as I was coming out of college. So that was a tough time period, forced me to kind of reevaluate. I ended up working several different jobs. I ended up working in banking, insurance, worked for a large manufacturing company, found out I wasn't a great employee. I wanted to kind of control the show, right, and do my own thing. So from there, I studied for the CPA exam. Passed all that in 2014, and I quit my job and opened up my own firm in my living room. Me and my wife did that in 2014, and we've really just built the firm since, and it's been a heck of a ride. So I really enjoy doing tax planning and wealth planning for people at a really high level. I also really enjoy entrepreneurship mindset stuff. I have my own podcast, Behind Their Success, where we interview entrepreneurs, really kind of get their story so we can get just really whatever lessons fleshed out from their experiences and share with other people.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Paden. Now let's come to the tax part. Tax is a very sensitive topic for a lot of people. Nobody wants to pay taxes, obviously. So in that sense, when we talk about that, everyone is cautious about, understands about, tax avoidance and tax, everything about tax. They keep on thinking about how to do it, but do it legally in that sense. And they want to save it in terms of, So I want to understand, you talk about that most entrepreneurs overpay in taxes, and you talk about fixing it. Entrepreneurs are smart people. Why do they still, when they're so cautious, understand all these things, still overpay in taxes? Let's start from there.
Yeah, I think there's a couple reasons why people don't necessarily take advantage of everything they could possibly take advantage of. One big reason is entrepreneurs. We got a lot going on. We're typically working several different businesses. Chaotic entrepreneurs are just, from a personality type, generally create a lot of chaos in the world. And so they don't, it's just a lack of intentionality around it, right? They're not spending time, or they don't even know it's an option of things that they could be doing and could maybe be extracting some significant value out of doing a little bit of planning. And I think really the big overarching reason why entrepreneurs don't have that, specifically in the United States, is that there's just a lack of qualified professionals to help. In the United States has a severe lack of CPAs coming out, way more retiring than are graduating. And in the same time, the world is becoming more and more regulated. There's more and more things that entrepreneurs and businesses have to deal with. So at least in the United States, the CPA firms are often so bogged down with just compliance and regulation that there's very few people actually doing proactive planning with clients, right? They're too busy, and rightfully so. There's an unreal amount of work, but they're busy just complying and filling out boxes on returns, and not sitting down with their clients and helping them think through strategies and how the business is performing and what could we possibly do different.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what are these common mistakes some of these entrepreneurs make? Because sometimes, seeing the taxes, instead of looking at tax avoidance, you start looking at tax evasion. And that is where the problem starts, because now it's much more regulated, everything. Government, I guess in the US, you have the IRS and all. Everywhere, tax authorities are also very smart. They know what you are doing, how you are doing, where you are, evading, where you are avoiding. So I want to understand this part from that entrepreneur's point of view, Paden.
Yeah, 100%. So we call it tax mitigation. So we're strategizing, right, to mitigate taxes. No, we don't use the word avoidance, because that certainly applies to something illegal. But I mean, the way to think about it from entrepreneurs' perspective is that the tax code, specifically in the United States, I'm not as versed as, around the world in their taxing authorities, but specifically in the United States, there's a whole lot of things written in the tax code to encourage investments in certain areas, whether it's real estate or clean energy or just lots of different areas. And the tax code is written and to give you credits or deductions or different things if you take some of your hard-earned money and invest it into these areas. So those things may or may not make sense for your own personal financial situation, but there's always things out there to consider, right? And the way I try to explain to clients of like how taxes work is that, all year long, like the money's flowing into you and flowing out to you, through expenses. And really, like, whoever's holding on to the money at the end of the year has to pay income taxes on it, right? Like they're stuck with the money at the end of the year, right? So like if we can get that money back out the door before the end of the year, and maybe in smart investments or strategic expenses for the business, it's going to lower your tax bill, and you're investing your money into something that it's going to get a return on investment from.
Right. So what are the problems that some of these entrepreneurs generally come to you for? As I said, they're smart people. They know about, they must be having their own accountants, people who know about these things. And still, where is it that, what is it that they need to come to you? What is it that you bring to them? And what is it that their own system is not telling them?
Yeah. And that's the thing, the vast majority of, 99% of new clients I get they work with CPAs already. Right. But it's the entrepreneurs that I work with. I generally work with, large entrepreneurs all over the United States, but I work with them, because they're not getting that. They want that proactive strategizing. They want that advisor, that consultant, not just a person that says, hey, this is how much you owe on taxes. I did the math all right. They want somebody to partner with them and walk alongside with them, to actually help them make business decisions and make decisions, revolving around tax and finance. So it's really like, it's almost every client I get, it's people, entrepreneurs wanting that type of relationship, and that's the kind of relationship we like to have with people.
Absolutely. So everyone who gets into business entrepreneurship, they all know that about tax. They need to pay taxes out of whatever their profits are, carry forward, not carry forward, losses, everything.
Yeah, it's complicated.
But when does this whole tax thing become a stress? What is it that you do that it becomes a stress? What is it that you don't do as an entrepreneur that it becomes a stress? Why does tax, which about inevitability about which you already know, why does it become stress then?
Yeah, it's I think stress and anxiety all comes from people not facing something or not wanting to deal with something that maybe they know in the back of their head that they should be a little better on top of, right? So once again, it kind of comes back to the intentionality around it. It's the stress comes from, yes, and I've seen it, in my over a decade of working in this industry, I've seen plenty of stressed out entrepreneurs that just aren't prepared, or they're not paying attention to their financial situation or even tracking income and expenses. And then, it comes in the United States, we have like a 3-month window to file everybody's taxes. And they're scrambling big time to try to put everything together, trying to figure out what they did, almost 15 months ago in financials of like, what was this? I don't even remember what that was. And so, it's my belief a lot of that stress and anxiety is really just self-induced, right? It's not having a plan and just kind of winging whatever's happening, in your business. And that's where we've helped a lot of entrepreneurs do that, of like, we've taken in some of those entrepreneurs that are that, just kind of chaotic and they don't have any systems in place, and help them implement some systems so they can get control of that. And it's amazing if you have a income statement or profit and loss statement all year long. One, taxes aren't going to be that big of a deal to do because you have everything just in an organized spot. And two, you're going to have information all year long to actually make business decisions off of, right? Like you have good information to see how your business is performing to help decide, what you should do or shouldn't do.
Absolutely. So, what is it, more important in terms of tax, in terms of you? Is it about the mindset you talk about, not having builder mindset, but, mindset of SEO? Or is it about much more about systems and processes? What is it, is more
Yeah.
important? Where is it that an
Yeah.
entrepreneur should focus on?
Yeah, well, it's all the above, right? Right. It's having, yes, I'm a huge believer in mindset. We talk about mindset all the time on my podcast, and the importance of that. And believing in yourself and self-confidence, and having that mindset of CEO, or that person, as you build your business and have a little more success, it's getting yourself more and more out of like the day-to-day battles of running the business, and getting yourself more into the CEO, or maybe the king type mindset, where I'm like looking over the battlefield and calling the plays, right? I'm telling people what to do, but I'm not the the warrior self down there fighting it out day to day. So it's trying to have that mindset, and having the mindset of like who, not how, right? Of like, I want to continue to use and leverage people and resources to really be, it doesn't all have to come through me, right? I made that mistake for a long time. So the mindset, absolutely. But you really can't get to that level either without the systems and processes, right? You can't get to the level to build a team and build a business of any size without the systems and processes, because you got to be able to replicate yourself, almost clone yourself. Because like in my business and professional services, like, people are kind of buying me, right? Or want to work with me. It's so important to try to get systems and processes in place to not make me be the bottleneck of everything in the business.
Absolutely. So, how do I get to a position as an entrepreneur to the peace of mind part? How is that possible? For that,
Yeah.
do they only have to come to you, or it can happen beforehand itself?
The peace of mind, it's not any external thing. It's not any external goal that you have, or it's not like, oh, when you make $1 million, you're going to have peace of mind. You're not. I used to believe that, if I made more money, I'd be more secure in money. And no, that's not really how it works. It's a choice, right? It's a choice in your head. It's, what makes entrepreneurs special is they kind of walk into the chaos of the world, or try to create and create new things into the world. And with that comes risk, but, also comes with, a lot of reward too. So it's trying to lean in and get very, very clear on what you're trying to accomplish, and get very specific of what you're trying to accomplish, and then step out in a little bit of faith, and don't quit, and that's my best piece of advice.
Right, right. And what is it that they can come to you for? If you
Yeah.
can tell, so that they know, okay, for this I can certainly go to Paden.
Yeah. So what me and my team do at a really high level is work with business owners and high income earners, legally and ethically reduce their tax bills. We do that through a really holistic planning process, and we got plenty of reviews or people out there that we've had a lot of success with helping them do that. So that's what we do. I mean, you can always catch up with us at squirestaxplanning.com. Reach out to us. We'd love to have a call and you maybe talk a little bit about your situation and see if we'd be a good fit to help each other.
Absolutely. And they can learn, a lot of people can learn from your podcast also. You said
you
have a podcast.
Yeah.
So tell us a bit about that.
Yeah. So my podcast too, on that side, you can check out PadenSquires.com. Behind Their Success is the name of the podcast. We're about, I don't know, getting close to 100 episodes in. So not as far as you, of course. But, we really, I really enjoy it. It's something I started about a year and a half ago, and there's amazing conversations on there with really high level entrepreneurs all from around the United States running, multi-million-dollar businesses, and really asking them about their journeys of, okay, what's the biggest mistake you've made and what did you learn from it? And it's really cool to have these really high level entrepreneurs get vulnerable and share their stories. So, you don't have to make the same mistakes they did.
Absolutely. There's much to learn from you. And I'm sure a lot of people would want to connect with you. You said about your website, but if you can repeat, where exactly is the best place for them to connect with you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say go to squirestaxplanning.com if you're interested in having a call sometime with me. Otherwise, check me out on social media. I'm out there everywhere. Paden, just search my name, Paden Squires. Facebook is probably where I'm, I'd say I'm the most active, Facebook and LinkedIn. But yeah, check out the podcast at PadenSquires.com. Like I said, really enjoy that. There's a lot of value getting shared in those episodes for sure.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.